Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Virgo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Virgo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Nine of Swords. Don't freak out. I know this isn't the best card to begin with, is it? But the Nine of Swords at least lets us know that something isn't exactly right in our life. Okay? When we feel a Nine of Swords, this is a card of inner pain, despair, anxiety, right? I feel like you're somebody who would rather know the truth than to sort of gloss over it. Would rather see things for what they really are than to be blissfully ignorant of things. Okay? So you may be feeling this kind of despair or anxiety or this feeling inside that there's something not right. Okay? And our situation as it is doesn't feel very good. All right? But the positive aspect of this card is the recognition. It's saying something in your life is keeping you up at night. Something is making you feel this way, and it's drawing your attention to this inner state of being. And I feel like we have to have a dialogue with that. It seems like we have to address that and say, okay, why are you here feeling? You know, what does this mean? What is the purpose of this feeling? What is it trying to communicate to you? So let's put this card into a little bit of context. I guarantee it's going to get better from here. Okay. We have a Seven of Wands. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. We've got the Hierophant. We have a Four of Cups. And we have the High Priestess. Very good over there. Over here we have a Four of Swords. We have a Prince of Wands. We've got the Tower. And we've got a Knight of Pentacles. So I like the end result here with the Knight of Pentacles because this is showing us that we're sort of looking at a different path now. That we understand that the future can be different than the present. That the way things are right now, we can change that. We can follow the High Priestess, who, by the way, is always leading you to your best life. Okay? High Priestess is card number 2. Card number 3 is the Empress. So I feel as if this High Priestess, this intuition, this message from the divine in your life is trying to lead you to your very best life, to healing, to health, to well-being, to satisfaction, to meaning, to fulfillment. Okay? And at the end of all of this energy, we have to be able to look into the future and see that future for ourselves. Believe that that good life is out there for us, whatever that means to you. Okay? A good life that is in alignment with your spiritual goals, your spiritual self, the message of your soul, that sort of thing. This is the card of looking into the future and seeing who we are, where we are, what we're doing down the road. Believing that this prosperous future is out there for us. Okay? Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right over here with Dwight K. Schrute right on top. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. And anyway, we're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this program you feel like you might know what that card is, please put your prediction down in the comments below. Okay. We're being asked to use our intuition here by our High Priestess. And as we look around the room, we see the Hierophant, Wheel of Fortune, High Priestess. The Tower is in the position of what we don't want. Nobody wants it, right? Nobody's ever ready for a Tower moment. It's always a shock. It's always a surprise. It's always unexpected. This is the, expected or not, the Tower events are those crises in our life that shake our foundations, that shake our world, that really rattle us. Okay. And it could be that what we need to do in this case is we need to cross this very scary river of change in order for our fire to reach earth, in order to connect this electrical circuit of creation, fire to earth. This is manifestation, okay? This is the act of creation. From will to action, from our impulse, our inspiration, okay, to crystallizing it in behavior, in a function, in a new life, okay, or a new journey of life, a new quest in life. We have to connect these two, but the Tower is in the way. The Tower could be that there is this need for a breakthrough, the need for something that pulls us out of our Nine of Swords. Okay, so we have our major arcana, and I like that we have this we have a cradle here, right, of major arcana. You're being supported by the divine. Okay, the universe loves you. The universe wants you to succeed. The Hierophant, the Wheel of Fortune, and the High Priestess all holding you up, cradling you like this, while you're in this Nine of Swords state, until you are strong enough, until you feel strong enough to keep fighting, to keep going, okay? To stabilize your heart and your mind, which we see over here, and to make some positive effort to change your life based on what this Nine of Swords is telling you. See, we can't just ignore the Nine of Swords and then say, well, I'm just going to do some new stuff in life. I'm going to go find a new relationship. I'm going to go have a new job. I'm going to, try a new flavor of ice cream, something like that. That's not going to work. First, we have to recognize what this is telling us. Okay? We may feel right now that we're kind of at the bottom of the wheel. We're sort of between the rubber and the road, right? But we have to address it. We have to have that conversation. Why do I feel this way? What is it about my life that's causing me to feel this way? Okay, where does this really come from? And as we look in the background, well, first of all, let's just point out we have fire and fire. We got a little bit of water up here. Okay, we've got our couple of air cards, and we have some new earth energy in the final outcome, long-term outcome here. In the recent past, you have a Hierophant, also earth energy. Okay, earth here and an earth there. So what this Hierophant is telling me is that in the past, this is us getting our instructions from outside of us. Right? The Hierophant represents wisdom coming in from the outside world. It's help from a superior, it's education, it's parents, it's friends, it's society, it's the institutions that we serve in life. So in a way, this is saying that, we've been, for a good portion of our lives, all of us, not just you, Virgo, but everybody, we report to something outside of us. This could be the boss at work. This could be the standards of society. This could be the expectations of your parents, coworkers, friends, family, the boss, like whatever it is. This is us getting our instructions, getting our orders, right, from something outside of ourselves. And this usually is, a good first segment of our life. That's what we do. Most of us, that's kind of all we do, right? Is we look to outside. We look outside of ourselves. We look externally for guidance. This is in your past, okay? So I feel like you're going through this transition in life where we're going from seeking the wisdom from outside of us, or this is kind of like, who are you reporting to? Well, you're reporting to the boss, to the parents, to the world outside. That's where the wisdom comes from. The Hierophant is the one that tells you what is sacred, translates the sacred energy into a way that we understand as human beings, into thoughts, into thoughts and feelings for us. It's someone who interprets the sacred texts, tells you what they mean, right? Metaphorically speaking, maybe literally too. And this is behind you. This is something that it's kind of, it's saying, wait a minute, now I feel this Nine of Swords, so this isn't working anymore. So this seems to be now this transition from seeking the guidance or reporting to something outside of us to now, what is the High Priestess? It's the same thing as the Hierophant, only it's internal. This is the Pope, this is the Popess, right, in kind of traditional tarot lore. This represents the wisdom coming from inside. This is saying, now who do I report to? I report to my own soul and spirit. I report to the divine in my life, inside of me, not somebody outside of me interpreting life, interpreting energy, interpreting divinity for me, telling me what I should be doing. But now I've got to report to myself. So the Nine of Swords that we feel right now is sort of the transitional pain of realizing that this isn't working anymore, and that the wisdom from within is now going to be the guiding factor in your life. And this is something people will say, well, this is the first half of life, this is the second half of life, right? Not chronologically speaking, but spiritually speaking. We begin things by gaining wisdom from outside, asking other people or letting other energy in that says, what do I do? Who am I supposed to be? What should I value? What is worth my attention? How do I interpret? Can you tell me what these sacred texts mean, right? And then in the so-called second half of life, or this next segment of life, it's kind of like, how am I interpreting the sacred texts? What does life mean to me? What does the divine in my life want me to do? So this is really an existential crisis. It's not, and it may be tied into something very serious happening in your life right now. And I'm not predicting anything happening of a critical nature. I think if you're experiencing the Nine of Swords, very often it's tied to a major life event. Okay, Nine of Swords. I wonder if you've recently, if a loved one has passed recently, or if there's been kind of a major milestone in your life. Okay, it's usually tied to some kind of a major life event. Okay, and the Seven of Wands here is your willingness to fight. It's kind of like when we're having that conversation with ourselves, like, well, okay, why are you in there? Why do you feel that way? What is my soul trying to tell me? Well, right now it's trying to tell you that, okay, we're making this very difficult shift from the external focused, and maybe the external stuff here with the Hierophant is things that you have valued in life, pursuits, goals, your ambition, your accomplishments. And now there is this message really that does disturb our dreams. I think you've been having a lot more sort of scary dreams lately, right? Write them down, have a dialogue with them, start the conversation. Spirit wants you to fight. Spirit wants you to have the courage to begin relying on your own interpretation of life. What does your soul say to you? What do you value? Not from an ego consciousness point of view, but spiritually speaking, what is important to you? What do you want? What do you love? What does your soul want to do? What are you in service to? Who are you reporting to? Who are you getting your orders from now? Okay, from Spirit, right? And so this card is the courage. It's both both of these cards are Mars energies. Let's point that out. This Tower is pure martial energy. These two cards are also martial energy. So there's a connection between what's going on now and the sort of fear of the Tower. We don't like change. We don't like the abrupt, unexpected, life-changing exclamation points, right? We don't like anything that really shakes our foundations. And that's precisely what your own soul is doing right now, whether it's in response to a major life event or some sort of internal shift. Well, that's for you to fill in those details. Okay. But the Mars energy here is saying that, look, it's not an easy task. This is an initiation into a new segment of your life. Okay, a new segment of your life. And I think that this is a blessing, and we may not look at it that way. It may feel right now that it's very challenging, very difficult, and it's unwanted. I don't like it. Take it back. Come back tomorrow. I'm slamming the door in its face. But this is a blessing, okay? Because not very many of us reach that point where we can sense that, okay, the reason why I feel the pain right now, yes, it's in response perhaps to a major life event, but it's telling me something. It's telling me that that energy is shifting now. And if you can embrace this energy shift and you make this successful transition into your own, let's say, internal guidance, into your own wisdom, okay, then your future is going to be very, very successful. It is going to be one of successful and satisfying manifestation, fire and earth, right? But we've got to go through the tower event. We've got to go through the earth-shaking moment, right? Underneath the surface, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. I think that you know that life is changing. You know that life happens in these sort of larger cycles. This is the card of destiny, right? This is the card of divine timing. And divine timing, when things happen in life, major life events, things that we don't schedule and plan and say, okay, on Thursday, that's when I'm gonna have this big thing happen, and it's gonna be that's when I'm gonna kind of switch into the next era of my life. It doesn't work that way. The Spirit doesn't require our approval. It doesn't even really require our participation. Right? Things happen when they happen. This is divine timing. It's Spirit's wristwatch. It's the cosmic timepiece. It's not our human timepiece, right? I'm not wearing my watch today, actually. So this is, the idea that things happen when they happen, and I can't do anything about that. Right? As life goes on, we're all in this together, for one thing. Right? We're all going to go through a lot of very similar life events. Okay? We're not unique in that way. We're all going to go through these crises, these tragedies, and these big tower exclamation points in life. And if the easier we can sort of accept those, trust in those, have faith in the universe, right? And use our courage and use our understanding and our deeper spiritual wisdom to get through these, the easier it will be for us, and the more satisfying and or profitable or successful will be our future. So there's this idea here that we're at the bottom of the wheel. We know that the universe is trying to bring us back to the top of the wheel. We have to understand the message. We have to understand what this very challenging energy is saying to us, especially that Nine of Swords. What is the transition that you're making in life? What is the switch that we're involved in? How are we moving from Hierophant to High Priestess? What does that involve for you? Has there been loss of a loved one? Has there been a shift in your internal state that just says, I don't know why I feel this way, right? The Four of Cups at the top here. Sometimes this is us pretending we feel fine. Oh, I'm okay. No, I'm fine. Underneath this, inside of us, let's say we've got that Nine of Swords, but up above on the very, very surface of our persona, we're saying, I'm great. I'm all, 2 thumbs up. Let's go. I feel fine. We don't really. When the Nine of Swords is showing that you don't. So it does feel as if we've got to open up and we've got to look beyond this surface thing. We don't need to pretend that we feel okay. We need to have that conversation with that Nine of Swords and say, okay, I feel this way. Then that means something. Okay, that means that I have to kind of open up my heart and start listening to what's going on inside, because it's trying to tell me that a new future is ready for me. And all of these energies are trying to get you to your Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles, when we see, not only do we believe it, but we see the beautiful future that awaits us. Okay? Despite whatever's happening now, if there is a major life event, if there is this, we're going through this, what feels like a dark night of the soul, right? We've got to listen to that. We don't want to ignore it. We don't want to sugarcoat it. We don't want to gloss over it. Okay? This card is kind of saying that right now we're just trying to be safe. I just want to be away from the storm. That the only goal we have right now is to get into a safe harbor. Very often this card is saying, we've just been through a major storm in life, and all we're trying to do is get to a safe cove. We can drop anchor, and we can rest, and we can make sure that the sails aren't torn to shreds, make sure there are no holes in the boat, right? Boat's not sinking. We can't stay here, though. This is the storm shelter. That's basically, it's there for a reason. We go down in there for protection, but when the storm is over, we have to emerge. Well, maybe even before that, right? We can't stay here for very long. This is meant to be a temporary thing. Okay? So the Four of Cups is also us trying to stay in a previous state where it felt more comfortable, it felt more familiar, even if it wasn't very pleasant. We're going to try to stay here in the Nine of Swords, even though it's a Nine of Swords and it is painful, right? If there's one card that shows an internal pain, it's this one. But yet we're going to try to stay there anyway, because there is this, there's this unconscious even tendency for us to feel like staying put is always safer than going forward, And so there is this suggestion here that we need to get back on the water. We need to raise the sail, cut the anchor away, and we need to go forward. Okay. So I feel like you are in this state of transition right now that we're resisting a little bit. But if we have that dialogue and we have the courage and we fight, we can get back to the top of the wheel here. Okay. And I think that you're acknowledging that the things that happen in life aren't in our control, that we're not the one really driving the boat. This looks like the wheel of a ship, right? And I don't think we're driving the boat, not ego consciousness anyway. So the ego is kind of saying, I don't like this. I'm scared of staying put. I'm scared of going forward. I kind of just want to get off the boat. But we are trusting that Spirit has the wheel and Spirit knows what it's doing, even though I don't particularly like that, bad things or difficult things, painful things, disruptive things happen without my approval. I don't think you're somebody that likes surprises, right? None of us really do, unless we know it's going to be a good surprise, because when you're first surprised by something, the reason why we feel surprise is because we don't yet know whether it's good or bad. We don't know if we're going to, we're automatically in that kind of fight or flight kind of mode, waiting to see what it is. Oh, it's a good surprise. Oh, you guys got me. If it's a bad surprise, then we're ready to fight or flee, right? That's why we feel surprised, And so I don't feel like we really, truly enjoy that. We enjoy the relief that comes after when we realize that it was a good surprise, you see. But this is having a little bit of trust that the Spirit, the divine, your own intuition, your own conscience, your own higher self, true self, the universe or divine mind, whatever you want to call it, has control of the wheel here. Even though ego consciousness is saying, why did that have to happen today? Of all the days, why today? Well, because. So the way forward then is to continue with this idea of trust, having faith, having hope, and trusting that if we rise to the challenge and we can communicate with our inner being, our inner reality, our soul here with the Nine of Swords, and find out, okay, why are you here? Why do you feel that way? Why, what is the problem here? And really be honest with ourselves, which is what we're trying to do here with the Four of Swords. And really ask, what is this? What is involved in this transition from serving something externally to now serving something that is the truth within you? the divinity that is within you, right? Rather than reporting to your parents, your boss, and the demands of the external world. Now it's your soul that's trying to say, hey, it's time for us to create something, to live our spiritual life in whatever manner that it is for you, right? So this feels like an existential crisis that may or may not be related to a major life event. Okay. Now, Path of the Serpent, let's talk about this. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It really does help out the channel, and the readings are free. Okay. Your general energy is the Four of Swords here, and as a contrast to the Mars energy, this is a Jupiter energy. Okay, this is trying to kind of like, in a way, it's our mind trying to say, no, everything's fine. I'm trying not to think about it. I don't want the stress of worrying about it. Well, we got it anyway. We got that Nine of Swords. Something something does not feel pleasant. Okay, let me just put it that way. And if we're just going to put our fingers in our ears, close our eyes, and go la 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 la, that's not going to help us. You know what I mean? That's not going to really do anything and maybe temporarily, right? But that's the thing about the fours. They are meant to be temporary. That we may resist at first and fight against it and say, no, and then finally, okay, fine, let's have the conversation. Why am I feeling this way? Because that Nine of Swords is not just, well, I'm having a bad day. It's not just, I stubbed my toe and it kind of hurts and it'll be gone in a couple of days. No big deal. This is like an existential angst or a dread. That's just like something major is going on. And maybe we don't even know what the source of that is. We need to have that conversation. Right? We need to open up our mind and our heart and say, okay, spirit, okay, soul, okay, self, what is this all about? Okay? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And well, that's the squeaky wheel right now. And so it wants us to pay attention to something. It wants us to address something. Okay? And how this shift is playing out for you, well, you're going to have to find out with your earth energy there at the end, right? We have in the environment a Prince of Wands. This is, in terms of your relationships with the outer world, this is still kind of it's a fixed fire energy. To me, this feels like we're consistently showing up, doing the work, doing what we're supposed to do. It's kind of like you're saying, well, look, I've been doing everything right. I've been going to work on time. I've been taking care of the bills. I've been, washing the car, taking out the trash. Like I'm doing all my chores in life. Like, why do I still feel this Nine of Swords? Sometimes this is the ego thinking, hey, I've been a good ego. Like, why do I have to feel like this, because we get stuck in this sort of attention, and this is kind of the ego feeling like it's in control of everything. This is the ego feeling like, look, I've been a good ego. I've been taking care of business. I've been showing up every day. I've been putting in the work. Like, why is the Nine of Swords my reward? So very often the princes here need to evolve a little bit, need to grow. It's kind of like the ego needs to be put in its place. Well, the prince is not the knight. Okay, this is a maturation of energy here. It's us realizing that, okay, my Prince of Wands has been serving that Hierophant, been reporting to that Hierophant, and it's kind of going back here and saying, look, Hierophant, I've been doing my work. I show up on time. I put in the best effort that I can. I've never taken a sick day. What's the deal here with this Nine of Swords? Right? And the Hierophant is silent. But your own intuition, your own soul is saying, it's time to break through this very limited perspective, and it's time to break free of the past, really, and realize that there's something inside of you that's now pushing you toward your true calling in life, let's say, or to your new future. It doesn't mean that we're going to quit our job, we're going to leave our family, none of that sort of stuff. This is more about accepting the changes that are happening in the external world, if it is tied to a major life event, sort of trying to accept that and realize that the ego's not in control, right? Prince of Wands thinks it's in control, thinks that it's this fixed fire energy, that I'm in charge of it all. No, it's a small little, I heard James Hollis say it's a thin wafer on a phosphorescent ocean is the ego, right? A thin wafer. but thinks that it's in control of the ship, right? I always look at the ego as being the pilot of the ship, the one whose hands may literally be on the wheel, turning left, turning right, 5-degree down bubble, but it's spirit that is the captain. It is the soul that is the captain, right? But the ego is the one that has to then make the conscious decision to, okay, I'm turning a little bit to the left or to the right, but doesn't really understand the higher purpose for those little movements, but is receiving orders from the spirit, from the soul, and saying, okay, I'm turning left, I'm turning right. Just as the Hierophant, the external world, the demands of life, the demands of society, the demands of parents and friends and bosses and coworkers, and all that kind of stuff, has been the captain, telling the ego, turn a little bit left, turn a little bit right, 5-degree down bubble. But now, ego's taken orders from internally, from the soul, from spirit. Okay? And going through this process is a difficult thing in our human heart and mind, in our ego consciousness. And when I say ego consciousness, that is with no negative connotations at all. We all are an ego. We all need one. This idea of ego death, or like rooting out or getting rid of the ego, is all ego. Okay? We need the ego. We need the ego to be strong, but also obedient. Right? And that's what the ego, a healthy functioning ego, is one that knows how to take orders and do the right thing. Do what it's told, and we're taking our orders either from something else or from our very own soul and spirit. Okay? And this is that sort of transition for you. The tower energy is the energy we do not want. Nobody likes a tower moment. Nobody likes to be surprised. I don't care who you are. We like surprises. No, we like the relief and the joy and the good stuff that comes from a very pleasant surprise. We do not like the moment of surprise, and we do not like, of course, when the surprise turns out to be a negative kind of tower event, right? A major life event that is not pleasant. But we see the martial energy tied into everything, right? So I feel like we're kind of breaking away from the past, and we're attaching ourselves to our soul, our spirit, the high priestess, God, goddess, deity. The guardian angel is what I like to, how I like to phrase it, but that's just my own vernacular. I mean, we can call it anything that we want. Higher mind, we can call it a conscience, we can call it the high self, true self, we can call it a spirit guide or an ancestor, and I know that these all have subtle differences, of course, but whatever is present in your life, inside of you, speaking to you, that's not, let's say, an external kind of authority, okay? Not a mundane authority. Or even, could be a spiritual authority, but it's coming from outside. Okay? Let's say it's coming through the guise or the persona of another human being. But that still kind of creates an issue, because very often the divine, your own soul, can communicate to you through the persona of another human being. So that's not really a distinction either. But I think you know what I mean. This is the internal wisdom. This is the external so-called knowledge or wisdom. Okay? But the tower is this difficult obstacle that we have to cross. I think that this is the breakthrough. This is also kind of facing life's challenges, facing these tower moments, these exclamation points of life, these major life events, facing them with courage and trust and faith and hope and understanding, and realizing that they're marking. What do exclamation points do? They're kind of a surprise ending to a sentence that marks, and then it's kind of like it's the surprise moment, and you kind of want to read the next sentence. It's when the sentence just kind of, the end just goes way up like this, and then it kind of takes you aback, right? It takes you for a little bit of a surprise. This kind of the energy, the novelty of life goes way up, and then we want to see what's next, so we're going to be more compelled to read the next sentence. Of course, so many exclamation points, and it's kind of like, okay, we can't be yelling all the time, But I feel that this is the marker. This is the symbol in life, and it may be, like I said, an external event that symbolizes, that marks the sentence, the transition from, with a sense of novelty, with this rise and inflection, it signals the beginning of the next kind of, the next sentence, right? The next phase of things, the next bit of information. Yeah. But the towers, again, they're unexpected. They're always disruptive. It's something that shakes the foundations of our lives. This could be a lot of different things. Okay? Don't need to go into all the details of what that could be. Depends on how old you are. Depends on what's going on in your life. I mean, there are different major life events that happen in your 20s and 30s versus your 40s, 50s, your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, your hundreds and 20s, your 200s. Like, it's going to be different, you know? As we get older, yes, we're going to start having more of the tower moments. It could be a health thing. It could be something financial. It could be that, the kids have went off to college. It could be that I've retired. It could be that I've lost some of my friends have passed into spirit, you know? It could be that we are just aging, or we're seeing our family aging, and just something is giving us this angst. Okay? And it's best to look at it and say, okay, this is liberating some energy. This is a moment of a huge rise in novelty that then, as the next sentence begins, right, this is that release of energy, exclamation point, big tower moment. And then that energy, what are we using it for? Okay. What's the next sentence going to be for us? Well, that's what we have to do now. We have to look into the future. We have to see, not only believe, but see the next sentence. Because now with the tower moment, yes, it may be disruptive, and yes, it is unwanted, unexpected, and maybe unpleasant. We realize that it's always a liberation of energy. Every time there's a tower, there's what? There's heat and light that's being released. Okay? It could be time, effort, energy. Could be money even that's being liberated. You know, let's say the heartbreak of our kids kind of leaving the house and going off and getting their own apartment or something, right? It's an exclamation point. It's a tower moment. I'm not looking forward to that moment. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, almost 5-year-old daughter. I got a little bit of time left, but when that happens, it sort of signals an exclamation point, end of a sentence. Now, what's the next sentence going to be? Well, now I've got more time. Now I've got more effort, energy, and money. What am I going to do with all of this? It's a return of this energy. It's a liberation of energy that now we have to understand what the next sentence is that's going to begin and where it's going to go. What's the story that we're writing here? Okay? Well, that's very personal to you. And I think it's something that we can absolutely look forward to. I think this is really very significant. I think it's going to be great. I want to look at the mystery card. I want to see some very positive water energy, or a 6 of swords would be great. A 6 of cups, a 9, a 10 of cups, an empress, of course, right? Because that's what our high priestess is always leading us to. I'm kind of almost feeling the death card here, though, a little bit. Now, if you have a prediction, put it in the comments. A 5 of swords, okay. Well, that's good. I was saying the death card because to me that kind of feels like it's a rebirth. And you know, and I don't mean that in a negative kind of way. I know the death card is very scary, but to me it was gonna represent like that we're kind of being reborn into this new phase of life. You know, it's kind of like that we go through these cycles of birth and death many times throughout our lives. And this, it may feel like the pain, right, and the big surprise, this tower moment, the exclamation point, but really it's like a birth, right, of the next sentence, you know. But instead we have a 5 of swords. So to me it feels like, okay, fine, we're having the conversation, you know. We're not shying away from we're not shying away from this. We're having that dialogue with our own soul. And like I said at the beginning, that's what we need with a 9 of swords. We need to say, hey, okay, you're here for a reason. It's like something's knocking at your door. Well, you're going to go to the door. You're going to, pull it open a little bit. You got your frying pan behind the door just in case. And you're going to say, what do you want? You know, for what reason are you knocking at my door at this hour? You know, what could you possibly want right now? We're having the conversation. You know, when we feel that 9 of Swords inside, the sooner we can sit down and say, okay, what does this mean? Why are you here? Why are you visiting me? You know? And maybe we don't like the message. Maybe we don't like the charge now that says, okay, the message, the reason why the 9 of Swords is here is because you've got to start living your life according to your spiritual purpose. The first segment of your life is done now. There's a transition happening, and you've got to start living your own spiritual purpose, your own path. You've got to listen to your soul and make decisions that are going to bring about the next sentence. You got to start writing the next chapter, you know, that sort of thing. But I like this card because it says that we're at least having the conversation, which is what I wanted from the beginning. So I think that's really great. Now we're going to do an extended reading. Okay, we'll do an Jing hexagram, we'll do some oracle cards. There's a link up top and there's a link down below. New readings for Virgo on Tuesdays and Saturdays. This was a bonus reading because I feel like this was something that you kind of needed to hear right now, okay? And because this is a bonus reading, we're just going to go straight into the extended. So don't go anywhere, don't change the channel, okay? We're going to do that right now. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please click the subscribe button, click the like button. Really helps us out here. All right. Leave a comment too. Let me know how you're doing. Let's get into it. We're going to start off with a hexagram from the Jing. What is the message from the E today? Your hexagram is hexagram 48, the well. Moving the city, not moving the well. Without loss, without gain, they come and go, the well wells. Almost reaching, but the rope does not yet draw water from the well. You broke your clay jug. These are pitfalls. Okay, the well. We're trying to draw water out of the well. We're trying to get in touch with Source. We're trying to draw wisdom and understanding from the depths, right? Moving the city, not moving the well. Things come and go in our life, but the source is still there. Because we are still there. Our spirit is still there. Our soul is still here. So it's kind of like in a way that we're kind of sitting here. And things are coming into our life, and they're going away. A flower grows, a flower withers and returns to dust. And we're seeing our friends kind of grow up and age and pass into spirit. We're seeing the phases we're seeing ourselves, our own bodies do that, you know? And it's kind of like there's some pure consciousness inside of us, that's pure spiritual consciousness that is witnessing all of that, okay? And we're trying to tap into that well now, okay? And that's kind of we're tapping into the high priestess. We're tapping into that spiritual wisdom within us. But if your rope isn't long enough or you break the jug, you're not going to reach it. Which means we're going to try. We're going to have courage. We're going to fight. We're going to make sure that our heart can handle it, right? The clay jug of the heart to carry the water. We're going to make sure our rope is long enough, and that's our mind, right? If the rope doesn't reach, or we break the jug, we're not gonna tap into the source, and we're not gonna succeed in this transition. Your heart is the clay jug, and your mind is the rope. We got to make sure the mind can reach, right, and connect. We got to make sure that our heart doesn't break too significantly, right? Or if it does, we heal it so it can hold the message from Spirit for us. So the well is perfect hexagram. The well or source is independent. You can't lose it, nor can you grasp onto it. People and experiences come and go. Time passes. The well is always the well. Never doubt that you have these resources or that they are enough. The potential in the situation now is undeniable, but it still may be a ways off, right, from its realization. What is the ever-present resource that you draw from, and what can you do to realize its potential here? Okay, well, first thing we do, we sit down, we try to have the conversation. We try to lower the rope. down into the well and connect with that source within us, our high priestess. Let's do an angel number as a mystery card. And an empowerment oracle. That is the one. The empowering friendships. I select my relationships carefully and invest in them fully. I am the average of the people I spend my time with. Okay. So I think that, this may, because we're talking about empowering friendships, I wonder if this situation might have something to do with your relationships, with, maybe we're seeing some of our friends, they're leaving our lives. Either they're passing into spirit or they're kind of moving away or we're just drifting apart, something like this, right? I think that we have to, I think it's important that we consider our relationships. And as the card says, select them carefully. Okay? Cultivate the right kind of relationships that you want to have in your life. And maybe it's the idea that we're kind of isolating right now. Right? Maybe with the Nine of Swords, that we do tend toward isolation, anxiety, right? Isolation, and it's just kind of like when we feel like a wounded animal and we're just going to hide in the corner, And so Spirit's reminding us, let's make connections, let's love and be loved. Let's have friends, let's have family, let's engage with life, okay? Because, again, it's like we're all in this together. These major life events are not unique to you. The specifics are, the details, sure. But we all share in these kinds of things. These major life events happen to most of us, okay? And so the Nine of Swords is perhaps that tendency to kind of isolate or to feel like we're alone, but we're not. So friendships, relationships, connections, right? Very important. Oracle, Oracle of the Radiant Sun. The devotion. The devotion. What is it that the ego is serving? What is the devotion? What are we loyal to? What are we, who are we reporting to? Right? And, I think that for a large part of life, for a large portion of us, we are devoted to the Hierophant. We rely on, we're devoted to our parents, we're devoted to our jobs, we're devoted to our societies, and we take our orders. That's who we're reporting to because we have that devotion, we care about it. And I'm not saying that you're going to stop that, because that's always going to be there. And maybe that's something we should have pointed out. It's never a clean break. You're never done with your parents or your all these other responsibilities. Even when let's say your parents they may have been gone for 30 years, they're still there in you. They're still there. Those programs, those words are still repeating in your head. So we're never fully done with that. We never totally escape that. It's built into who we are. Right? It's become part of us, become part of our adaptive routines and behaviors, our programming. Okay? But now we're just trying to sort of orient ourselves toward this spiritual source. Okay? The spiritual wisdom, the intuition, what is coming from inside of you, what your soul is trying to say to you. Okay, let's look at a creativity oracle card. Play. Our work can and should take on the quality of play, for it is play that stimulates creativity. This reminds me of an old Taoist story. I think it's in the Zhuangzi, where Zhuangzi is his wife has just died. Okay, and he's at home banging on the drums and singing and dancing around and laughing, and his friends come by and say, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be in mourning. Why are you banging on the drum and singing, and why does it look like you're having a good time?" it's a worthwhile story to read. But I like the idea of play here because it kind of reminds us that, look, life is going to be full of these tower moments. There's always going to be a Nine of Swords somewhere. But we have our empowering friendships and we've got our play, right? So I feel like we have to connect, we have to make connections, we have to try to be a little bit lighthearted about life. Otherwise, we'll never get out of here alive, And so I think the play is really important there. It's kind of like we've been closed off. We just wanted the safety of the Four of Cups. And now it's like, there's no holes in the boat. Boat's not sinking. Let's try to breathe. Let's try to have a little bit of a lightness to us. I'm not saying we need to go out and just, go party and go dance and whatever, right? Sing and dance like we don't care. But I think having a little bit of that playfulness, a little bit of that lightheartedness, is going to allow us to kind of celebrate life, rather than to lament. Right? And sometimes just the play helps us get out of a Nine of Swords anyway. Sometimes the lightheartedness is just what we need. Put some good comedies, put an episode of The Office on TV or something, and allow that to cheer us up a little bit. But I think really is in terms of the Zhuangzi story, it's this idea that there's always going to be something to mourn. We can't go through life with a long face all day, every day, because there's always something to be miserable about, So by singing and dancing instead of mourning, it's kind of like we're celebrating the life that we had. We're celebrating our time that we spend with people. We're celebrating, the love that we have and the bond that we share. Right? And I feel like our loved ones who do transition into spirit before us, they don't want to linger around while everybody's in mourning, lamenting, and crying. Right? They want to see everybody happy. They want to know that, okay, everybody's going to be okay. I'm moving into a different plane. I'm shifting my vibrations, but everybody I'm leaving behind, like, they're going to be okay. Because they're up, they've got each other, they're together, they're feeling good with each other, they're hugging, they're smiling. I can move on, I can continue my transition. Yeah. I like that anyway. Sorry to rant about it. Let's do a Metatron Oracle card. The healing. Pause to receive. Pause to receive the healing that comes from within. That comes from within, right? Maybe the Hierophant here is that we've been seeking all of our help outside, and I think that's important too. If this is the case, let's say you're going to the doctors, you're talking to people, you're seeking wisdom and guidance. Maybe you're seeking energy healing. Maybe you're going to a counselor, something outside. Perfect, great, yes, keep doing that. But the High Priestess and the healing on this side is kind of saying, like, look, doctors don't heal. Doctors create the space where we heal ourselves, where nature can heal us, where our own soul can kind of generate our own bodies do the healing. The doctor just gives us the right space, the right environment, the right conditions, or maybe the right ointment, And I think with energy healing too, I think that other people don't heal us. They may teach us the tools of how to heal. They may they may activate those certain parts of us, of our souls, right? That does the healing. Okay? They're not technically in there at the cellular level with their little tiny tools fixing things. They may be activating something in us, but it is us that heals. Yeah. And so I like that. Pause to receive the healing from this High Priestess. Let's do the Path of the Serpent. What tarot cards to use this time? Oh gosh, choices. Well, we'll just go with Pamela Smith for the Path of the Serpent. We have a Six of Wands, a victory. Right? We have the Seven of Wands here. We got a Six of Wands. So we have this courage, right? And the courage really is going to pay off for you. Okay. I think having this conversation, I think that we're going to get through whatever this Nine of Swords is, feeling very, very good. We're going to have evolved through this. We are going to know ourselves better. You've got the Lovers here in the position of your environment, and I think the Lovers here really, it may be literally a relationship for you somewhere, that friendship or something else. But the Lover's card is the union between ego, right, and true self, higher self, God, goddess, deity, or the high priestess. See, the high priestess is the light coming from the star. It's the message itself, right? So this is the union between the ego and the higher self, right? Or the Prince of Wands and the star, right? Maybe we'll get the star. We've got the Ace of Cups. We have to understand the blessing and the real meaning and significance of these tower moments, these major life events, okay? Whether they're happening mostly externally or if it's mostly internally. We have to understand that Ace of Cups. What is the blessing? What is the message? What is the meaning of this? It is very significant, okay? And it is kind of a gift from the universe, right? It's a gift of our life. It's something that, in a way, we're appreciative that we get to be here to experience those things, even though ego is terrified. Ego is, Nine of Swords. Final card here, the Hermit. Well, of course, your superpower card. That's the card that rules the sign of Virgo. So Virgo, your power card here at the end is showing that you are kind of taking your own light. You've connected with the light of your own internal wisdom. You're taking the message of the high priestess and you're going your own way. You're going the true way for you. So it is the beginning of the next sentence, the beginning of the next journey. I think that is a wonderful confirmation. And there's not much more to say about that. It literally is you connecting with the light within and using that to guide your path. Your soul is showing you the way now, rather than the Hierophant being the way shower. You're showing yourself the way, right? Capital S and small s. So really nice. Let's look at the mystery card. Angel number 1144, the high vibes, right? Divine intervention, prosperity, big ventures, fated events, faith, purpose, and a higher calling. Love or other happiness lurks just around the corner. It will be something much better than in your wildest dreams. A rare opportunity and exciting encounter with like-minded people will exceed your expectations. We got to have the high vibes. We got to get out there and keep moving. We got to start writing the next sentence. And that's going to bring you into contact with a lot of new people, a lot of old people. It's going to be friendships, other relationships. It's going to be playful and fun and prosperous. It's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be the Empress energy. I guarantee the next reading for you is going to have the Empress, because this is where all of this is leading. Okay. I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please click the subscribe button. These readings are totally free. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you, and I love you, and we're all in this together.